Alright, so this is my Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 2 review, aka Bo-Katan and Grogu saved Din Djarin many, many times. Well, at least Bo-Katan saves him many, many times. So, it starts off with, as I figured would happen last week, it starts off with him going to Tatooine. And he's so sweet. And he's continuing on with the teaching Grogu how to navigate and telling him that if you know how to read a map, you'll never be lost, which is good advice for anybody, actually. But foreshadowing. So, because you cannot be saying that so many times without it paying off. But anyway, so he goes to visit Peli. Now, Peli is continuing her scam of, because I'm pretty sure this was brought up in Book of Boba Fett, that she is actually working with the Jawas to scam. Or maybe I'm misremembering something. But, so she's scamming this person. And now, based on the way they're talking to each other, I'm not sure, maybe I should be rooting for her for scamming him because he doesn't seem like a nice guy. Or maybe we're just coming later in the conversation when she's already gotten on his nerves. Because I'm not liking this Peli. I like the fun-loving Peli, because she even scans Mando, sort of. Anyway, so Grogu uses the Force to flip into Peli's arms, which I thought was awesome. I thought that was so cute. And Peli, at this point, does not know he's Force sensitive. So she's like, how did you do that? And I'm going to guess that neither Grogu nor the Mando said a word about the Force. Which, considering by saying goodbye, she said, may the Force be with you. Does she think that's just a saying and not actually know what the Force is? Because, yeah. Anyway. So, the Jawas come back out to help put together the speeder that they took apart. Because that's their scam, and Peli's helping them scam. And, Mando asks Peli for a memory circuit for an IG unit. And she's like, yeah, that's really old. She even asks the Jawas, and they're like, nah, sorry, got nothing. So she offers up one of her droids. And the poor droid is scared shitless. Which, oh yeah, I want you to go to Mandalore to, make sure that the air is breathable. And he's such a scaredy cat. And he's supposed to be a unit that was made for helping the rebellion. So he's supposed to, I keep saying he, but I have no idea if this droid is a he. The droid does, but, so, the droid is supposed to be made for this. Even though it's falling apart, and Din even brings that up, and so she offers him a bargain, and he goes for it, of course, because I mean it is Pelly and they've had a good relationship before. And she's telling him to stop being a scaredy cat. And I don't know why Mando. I know this was meant to be comical, but I don't know why Mando seemed surprised that she's that. Oh, but you said that it was made for adventure. And dude, did you not see the droid shaking in its boots? I mean, it was missing parts not just because it's an older droid, but because it was scared. So, uh, but Pelly did catch on to the fact that Grogu is starting to talk. Of course, she thinks that Grogu only started talking with her. But so they go off, and for some reason there are fireworks. They didn't explain why that was happening. And he's continuing the lesson of to Grogu about how to navigate the galaxy. And the droid is, like I said, basically pissing its pants. And they get to Mandalore, and Din is telling Grogu about their people, and which he said they, so that says that he considers Grogu a Mandalorian, and so it's so sweet the way he's interacting with him. I mean, he still hasn't actually said his name this season, which except for to tell that to Grief Karga what his name is. So they land. And honestly, I didn't think that they were even landing on the planet. I thought that they would find some other way to get the droid down onto the surface instead of all three of them landing there. So Din is telling the droid to stop being a baby and take the readings. Now, I don't know why he had to travel into the cave. I mean, I would think that it would be fine even out in the open. Like just go into the mouth of the cave, not go way into the cave. But maybe those creatures were waiting for the droid at the mouth of the cave. I don't know. But he disappears, and Grogu is very sad. Sad, sad baby. So Din's like, okay, fine, I'll pressurize my helmet and I'll go out. And I'm like, if that's all you needed to do, what did you need the droid for? You could have just brought your own instruments while your helmet was pressurized and take your own damn readings instead of going into this convoluted I need a droid. But anyway, so he leaves Grogu in the Naboo fighter and tells him to seal himself in this pod. Now, I don't know, maybe if that were the case, maybe if he was sealed in his pod while they were walking, that would be fine for both of them. But anyway, that again, they wouldn't have needed the side plot of finding a droid. So they go off into the caves, and almost immediately they're attacked. And Din makes short work of them, and Grogu is just standing by. And again, I'm like, okay, help? I mean, why not? Or maybe he just thinks that, Dad can take care of it, so I'm only gonna help if Dad needs help, but otherwise I'm just gonna let him handle it because he's Dad. So they go lower and lower into the mines, and Din finds a Mandalorian helmet, and before he could do much of anything, he's captured by something, some mechanical creature that kind of looks like a spider, and so Grogu tries to rescue Din, and he was going to try to lift up the machine so he could let Mando out. Now, at this point, that creature was completely ignoring Mando, which makes me wonder if it was a complete accident that he was captured. I think it was just simply an accident that he ended up stuck underneath his whatever that machine was. And because otherwise I would have thought that he would have that Din would have the attention would have been drawn to Din when the creature got out of the machine, that it would immediately draw its attention to Din, but it didn't. It went off to do something else. So maybe it was just preparing, because we saw later he was roasting Mando over an open fire on a spigot. So as Grogu was trying to lift the machine, an alarm went off, and the creature attacked Grogu. And so Din tells Grogu to go get Bo-Katan. So he does fly the N1 fighter. He does fly the fighter to Kalevala and to find Bo-Katan, because Din showed him where he grew up, where Bo-Katan lives, and so he lands there, and the protocol droid, which, I'm sorry, if Bo-Katan has having a pity party and is basically the only person on that planet, and she, as she later said, she wants to be left alone, why does she still have a protocol droid? I mean, what is the point of that? To warn her when someone is coming to see her? I mean, except for Din, I can't imagine who else would even come. But anyway, so she's like, we're going to get rid of him once and for all. Which makes you wonder, is she going to fight him? Because, but no, she's just going to basically tell him to fuck right off. I don't want to have anything to do with this, until she sees that it's a baby. It's Grogu. And she's like, where is he? So they download the information they need from the droid. So now that makes sense why they went through all this trouble. It wasn't necessarily because, oh, the planet is poisonous. This is the moment they needed the droid to be able to find Din, because Grogu's language is limited. Din understands him, but as any parent knows, a parent is going to, as anybody who's been around children knows, parents understand children when to everybody else it sounds like gobbledygook. Simply because you know how your child is. So, or any caregiver for that matter. You tend to learn what a child means when they say certain things. So, so that makes sense. So they go in her ship, which I didn't know she had her own ship because the whole idea was to, steal other ships from the Empire so she could attack them. But so they go to Mandalorian. You can see that she's excited to be there and at the same time dreads it because of how horrible Mandalore looks. And she's talking to Grogu. And this whole scene with her talking to Grogu was so sweet. I just loved it because not only was she teaching Grogu the history of Mandalore and who she is, and that her family was a ruling family of Mandalore, but also identifying with Grogu. You're not my first Jedi. I've known other Jedis, of course, being Ahsoka, because she's the one who told them about Ahsoka. But so just the whole conversation, and she tells Grogu, "You're gonna have to take me to him." And it's like, "Can you do that?" And he's like, "Yeah." And you could see a little skepticism in Bo-Katan because, I mean, he's still a baby. Even though he's a badass baby, he's still a baby. Oh, and I forgot to mention, as he was going out of the mines to go to Bo-Katan, he showed that he could take care of himself. Using the Force to get rid of that creature that was going to attack him. And I guess there's a secret compartment of how his pod goes in and out, his bassinet goes in and out of the fighter because his pod just disappeared into the fighter and he flips into the driver's seat, which I thought was very cool. But I guess there's a doggy door thing for the pod. But anyway, so they are walking through the mines, and at the same point where Grogu with Din was going through the mines when his attention was to this what looked like a creature, and he got scared and scurried to catch up with Din. He did this. He was a bit more frozen, and Bo-Katan's like, "I know you're afraid, but I need you to tell me where he is." And and when he was trying to save Din, his little scurrying around so he wouldn't be seen. I mean, that was just too adorable. But this second part was all about Bo-Katan, so after she starts getting attacked, he kind of is off into the background. So they're wandering until Bo-Katan tells him to go back, and because she senses that danger is here. And like I said, I just loved her conversation with Grogu. So she takes care of the creature. It looks like she had a power shield. I'm trying to remember if she had that when we saw her in Book of Boba Fett or the end of The Mandalorian. I'm trying to remember. But, so she makes short work of him. And she just turns to Grogu and's like, "What? Did you think your dad was the only Mandalorian?" Which you you'd think he would understand that she's a Mandalorian because of their previous adventures, plus the fact that she mentioned about being part of the ruling family of Mandalore. But again, he's a baby, so they find Din, and that's where Grogu disappears from all the scenes. And they're attacked by that spider-like mechanical creature. And Bo-Katan picks up the Darksaber and uses it to knock him out. We thought destroy it, but no, she didn't kill it. It comes back, and Din's like, like, what are you trying to tell me? Behind you. So she continues to kill the creature. And now obviously there's a lot of action going on this episode, but doesn't that mean that she got the Darksaber the right way? Because that creature defeated Din, and she defeated that creature. So by right, she should have ownership of the Darksaber. I mean, rightfully owner of the Darksaber, not just because someone gave it to her. So I wonder if that's going to come up either next episode or, yeah, probably next episode. But anyway, so Din, as Bo-Katan is trying to get him out, Din goes to black, and he wakes up, and Bo-Katan is sitting there by the fire with Grogu. And poor Grogu. she hands Din some soup, and Grogu's holding out his little hands for it because he wanted the soup because, well, he's a baby, so of course he's always hungry. And it's not like Din does a good job of feeding him or anything. I haven't seen him feed him yet this season. In the past couple seasons, almost every episode's like, here, we're in a bar. Here, kid, eat. But anyway. So Din still wants to go on the quest to get to the living waters because he's stubborn that way. And because Bo-Katan's like, okay, we can leave in my ship now. Bye. Well, and Din says, like, you're right. This place isn't cursed. And she's like, look around. This used to be a mighty civilization, and look what it is now. So I think that even though Din is going through with what the armor wants him to, I wonder if he isn't starting to realize that taking off his helmet is not what, makes him, keeping his helmet on is not what makes him a Mandalorian. That yes, there's a creed, but it doesn't necessarily entail keeping your helmet on. So, Bo-Katan makes fun of him for never having this soup because apparently it's like mother's milk. Mandalorians grew up on it, so he doesn't want to go back with her. He wants to continue to Living Waters, and she's like, oh, fuck it. I'm going with you. You'll never find it on your own. Which he may or may not have, but, So, she's starting to get back her sense of purpose, because before she was just totally bitter about her whole life and just having a massive pity party. So they get to the living waters, and basically she wants to show it to him just so he can see how decimated it is, and basically throw it in his face that this is just not the way it works anymore, and that you're not going to get what you need. So he finds the living waters as Bo-Katan is reading to him the inscription on the in the entrance to the living waters. And um so he's walking into the living waters, and then an unceremonious falling into the water. Not falling in the sense that, oh, it was just a lot deeper than I expected. He went down, and Bo-Katan goes after him. So she saved him twice this episode. She goes down, and it looks like there's this giant creature. So she picks up Din. She at first has a problem, so I don't know if it was just because he's heavy, because Beskar armor, plus he's a big guy to begin with, or if the creature was somehow preventing Din from escaping. But she uses her jetpack and gets them out of there. And the creature is just watching them. So I don't know if it was so much that he wanted to kill Din Djarin as much as you're disturbing my home. But anyway, she gets him out, and he's coughing, and I'm like, wait a minute. How does it work? Did their water get into the helmet? I mean, you can't see where, like, a chin or anything, so. But obviously, because they were both coughing, so. Especially Din. And that's where it ends. Which, I was. I know that this is a longer episode than the last one, but it seemed like it was shorter. Maybe because I was so into it. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens now. Because he's fulfilled his quest, and it's only the second episode. Now, granted, he got basically as far as that little boy did in the first episode before he went plump to the bottom. So maybe he doesn't consider that a win, and because he didn't finish saying the creed. But or maybe he's gonna realize that, you don't need to keep your helmet on to be a Mandalorian. And again, I wonder what they're gonna do about the Darksaber, because in my mind, Bo-Katan is now the rightful owner of the Darksaber, simply because of how it worked out. Din got defeated by that creature, and she defeated the creature. Granted, she defeated the creature by using the Darksaber, but, still. She, in my eyes, has won the right to use the Darksaber. So, and since Din was never that fond of having the Darksaber, I don't think that he's going to say, wait, where's my Darksaber? I'm sure he's going to be perfectly fine with Bo-Katan having it. Which is going to make things difficult for the Armorer, who hates Bo-Katan because she's not as crazy about the Mandalorian creed as she is, in the sense that she insists that you never take your helmet off, ever. I'm trying to think if I skipped over something I don't believe I did. I think I covered everything this time. So, with that, I will see you guys next week.